Kelly, 34, was a seasoned marine animal trainer with a spotless record. She was hired for a private event at a marine park, told the shark was trained and safe. But no one checked. The predator's diet had been altered before the show to make it more alert. By the time Kelly entered the tank, the shark no longer saw a person, only prey. Kelly Jensen was a professional, 34 years old, lean, precise, and with 12 years of marine training behind her. She'd worked with everything from bottlenose dolphins to juvenile hammerheads, known for her calm under pressure and her ability to read animal behavior in seconds. When Ocean Gate Marine Experience invited her to Key Largo for a private live demonstration, she didn't hesitate. The offer was generous, the venue was new, and the shark, according to the handlers, was fully acclimated to live performances. She asked the standard questions: feeding schedule, reaction to human presence, prior incidents. Everything came back clean. The tiger shark, a 7-foot male named Nero, had been in the tank for 6 months without a single reported problem. "He's display trained," they said. "Slow, conditioned, predictable." Kelly knew that was marketing talk, but she trusted her own judgment. She arrived a day early to observe him. Nero swam slow laps, responding to visual cues, showing no signs of agitation. She signed the waiver without hesitation. What Kelly didn't know was that Nero's routine had been quietly changed the week before. The new head of guest experience, a man with zero background in marine biology, had instructed staff to delay feedings before big events. The idea was to make the shark appear more engaged on camera. That decision was never passed on to Kelly. By the time she stepped onto the metal platform above the water, Nero hadn't eaten in 36 hours. It was a private event. 10 high-paying guests behind a thick glass partition, drinks in hand, waiting for the thrill of proximity to danger. Kelly wore a black wetsuit with reinforced leg guards. No bright colors, no loose straps. She moved with practiced fluidity as she clipped her safety line to the platform rail. One of the staff handed her a sealed bucket. Fish scent only, no actual meat. Another cost-cutting idea from management. She descended into the tank slowly, keeping her eyes on Nero. He turned as if on cue, swimming a wide arc near the floor. Normal. Calculated. She extended her left arm with the signal cue. Nero didn't react. He kept swimming. Then he shifted. Subtle at first, tighter turns, faster movement. He was locking in. Kelly didn't see a trained animal. She saw a predator. And something in his motion told her this wasn't routine anymore. The water was colder than expected, slightly clouded from the filtration delay earlier that morning. Kelly noted it instantly. Visibility was reduced, maybe 10 feet ahead at best. She steadied her breathing. In her peripheral vision, the outline of Nero's dorsal fin broke the surface once before vanishing beneath the cloudy surface again. The audience behind the glass wall shifted positions. Phones came up. Someone whispered, "Here we go." Kelly adjusted her posture. She didn't like the water conditions, but had worked in worse. No sudden movements. Everything clean and deliberate. She tapped the side of the bucket, sending out a controlled vibration. A sound cue. Standard procedure. Normally, it brought the shark toward her in a slow glide. Nero did approach, but it wasn't slow. He closed the distance in 4 sweeping strokes. Kelly didn't move. She raised her right hand, fingers extended, palm flat. The cue for neutral hold. Nero didn't acknowledge it. He passed her, fast, brushing the outer current with his tail fin. Not a threat display. Not yet. But wrong. Off pattern. She turned slowly, watching him loop around for a second pass. Still no eye contact. Still too fast. She began a silent countdown in her head. 5 seconds to recalibrate, reassess his mood. But Nero didn't wait. On the 3rd pass, he didn't curve wide. He came in tighter. Kelly stepped backward mid-water, hands out. This time she gave the abort signal. Palm closed. Fingers pulled in. But Nero wasn't trained to that gesture. He wasn't trained at all. His trajectory changed in a heartbeat. Not horizontal, angled. He dipped low, pulled back, then surged up with a burst of speed that was not for show. Kelly kicked backward, instinct overriding protocol. Her safety line yanked tight as she reached its range limit. The shark's snout passed inches from her hip. The control team outside remained frozen. They were waiting for a cue, a command, anything to confirm this was part of the act. One of the handlers finally reached for the emergency override panel, but there was no buzzer sound, no sudden alarm, just the thud of Kelly's foot against the inner wall as she tried to push herself backward. Nero curved away again. She was out of position now, no central control, now floating off to the tank's edge, and Nero was circling, not curious, focused, mechanical, not trained behavior, just nature, and he was coming back. Kelly repositioned mid-water, kicking off the side wall to regain center control. Her breathing was tight now, not panic, not yet, but tight. The tank was too small for error, too exposed, no elevation advantage, nowhere to climb. Just one surface ladder 15 feet away, and the shark had settled into a full lock-in pattern. Nero's movements lost all pretense of hesitation. No more slow passes. He circled with intent, cutting the arc shorter each time. Kelly's arm came up again, fist closed, ready for contact deflection. But the shark was no longer behaving like a trained animal responding to cues. This was a feeding track, nose down, lateral flexing, speed control, classic pre-strike signs. The control booth stayed silent. The feed was live. The show was still on. Guests behind the glass wall were frozen, unsure whether what they were seeing was scripted or not. No one moved to stop it. Kelly twisted her torso left, bringing her body sideways. Smaller profile. She needed time, seconds. She tried the command again, sharp flick of the wrist and full extension. No response. Nero made contact. The impact was blunt, but not piercing. His snout slammed into her right thigh, spinning her off balance. Her mouth flooded with water as her regulator loosened. She didn't scream. She clamped down, forced air through her nose, and kicked off the tank floor. Bubbles broke the surface. From outside, it looked dramatic. For those watching, still part of the act. The second strike came from below. Nero launched upward, jaws open. Not a warning snap, a full attempt. Teeth closed around neoprene and flesh. Kelly's calf was inside his mouth for less than 2 seconds before he twisted. The tearing sound didn't register underwater, but the force did. Her body jolted sideways as her lower legs separated just below the knee. Blood clouded the water instantly, dark ribbons spiraling outward in slow, billowing lines. Kelly grabbed the safety rope with one hand, the pain immediate, white-hot, and clean. Her leg was limp, useless. She tried to climb the rope, but her gloves were slick and her body weighted. The shark moved off for a second loop. Repositioning. She looked up. No diver was in the water. No backup. Just faces behind the glass. Staring. Confused. Frozen. Then someone dropped a wine glass. It shattered. That was the first sound of panic, but it was already too late. The footage starts at timestamp 13:04:27. Kelly is already in the tank. The shark is circling. The guests are relaxed. 2 are filming. 1 is sipping champagne. No one is watching the monitors in the control room. No one notices that the safety diver is missing from position. The camera records in 1080p. There is no audio. At 13:05:12, Kelly signals with her left hand. The shark accelerates. At 13:05:23, Nero makes the first strike. Kelly's body shifts in the frame. Her leg is hit. There's a distortion in the water. Blood begins to appear. The guests don't react. They think it's part of the act. At 13:05:29, she reaches for the rope. Her grip slips. Her right foot is no longer visible. The control room begins to stir at 13:05:32. One technician leans forward. Another looks at the overhead feed. There's a brief delay, then movement. A button is pressed. But it's not the emergency override. It's a spotlight trigger. The tank lights brighten. The blood becomes fully visible. One guest drops a glass. Another stumbles backward. Phones are lowered. At 13:05:46, Kelly tries to climb. She makes it halfway up the rope. Nero turns again. No hesitation. No delay. He strikes a second time. The frame blurs with motion. Her body jerks. The rope swings, then goes slack. Her leg detaches at mid-thigh. It falls, sinks. Kelly doesn't scream. The soundproof glass blocks everything, but her mouth is open. At 13:05:58, the alarm finally sounds. The klaxon drowns the room in noise. Two staff members run toward the tank. One slips. The other jumps into the water with a pole. Nero is already descending to the far corner. Not in retreat, just repositioning. The trainer in the water reaches Kelly and wraps one arm under her shoulder. She's limp. Eyes half closed. Blood still clouds the tank. The screen cuts to a stretcher. Wet towels. Paramedics. No pulse. CPR begins outside the exhibit. Guests are moved away. No statements are taken. The video ends at 13:11:09. Later reports confirm Kelly died en route to the hospital. Cause of death listed as massive blood loss and shock. The Marine Park released a public statement calling it a rare and unpredictable tragedy. The shark remained in the tank. They renamed him within the month.